Coming to video fall 1999. It's the all-new, fully animated movie, Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
Hello everybody, and welcome to my channel. Thanksgiving is not over yet, and that gives me time to talk about a Thanksgiving movie that I really enjoy. Now, just to be clear, there really are not a lot of Thanksgiving movies out there, and I think a lot of that is because you also have Halloween and Christmas, which are of course the two more interesting holidays. There are even more like Easter movies than there are Thanksgiving movies, and that's probably because you can have a bunny in an Easter movie. You can't really do much with the turkey because the whole holiday revolves around eating them. Also, bunnies are a lot more cute than turkeys are. But anyway, putting that aside, the movie that I am talking about today is the animated film Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. That is right, I'm going to be talking about Scooby-Doo again. Bear with me. So Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost is kind of a follow-up to Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, which I still have not reviewed yet. I should probably do that eventually because I absolutely love that film. It's kind of a cheap cash-in because Zombie Island was successful and then only like a year later they released this. So of course it's a lot more rushed, I think, than Zombie Island was. But to start off, I'm going to be talking about the plot of this film. So the movie starts with Mystery Incorporated solving, what else, a mystery, and then this author by the name of Ben Ravencroft shows up and invites him to his hometown of Oakhaven. Keep in mind, this is a horror author, so in other words, he's pretty much Stephen King. They arrive to the town to find out that it has been turned into a 17th century tourist attraction using Ben Ravencroft's ancestor, Sarah Ravencroft, who was an evil witch, as the focal point. They tell everyone that her ghost has returned and she's haunting the town, and that's kind of what starts off the mystery of this movie. Ben Ravencroft doesn't believe she was actually an evil witch. He has this obsession with finding her lost journal so that he can prove her innocence.
That's ridiculous. I thought we'd gotten past all this witch nonsense.
What can I say, Ben? Ever since we built our Puritan village, her ghost has appeared many times.
After running into the ghost themselves a few times, the gang gets on the case, only to discover that it was all an elaborate hoax put on by the townspeople in order to pull in more tourists. And right when you think everything is about to wrap up and the mystery is solved and this was a really boring, uninteresting movie, they pull kind of a twist. They discover Sarah Ravencroft's lost journal, and it turns out that she actually was an evil witch, and Ben Ravencroft plans to use the journal to turn himself into a warlock and bring his ancestors back. So let's talk a bit about Ben Ravencroft. He is voiced by none other than Tim Curry, and if you know who Tim Curry is, then chances are you're a big fan of him. I think it was ever since like the 90s and up, he voice acted in like absolutely everything, and this was one of those. But what's kind of funny about this movie is that he's trying really hard to like disguise his accent, and it comes off as rather forced, and I found myself laughing at it a few times.
Listen, Velma, I'm going back to my hometown in Massachusetts this weekend, to the house where I wrote my early books.
I also really love this movie's like autumn feel to it. It's not quite Halloween, but definitely more of, like I said, Thanksgiving. There's stuff like people wearing like pilgrim clothing, and there's turkeys everywhere, stuff like that. And of course there's like a big autumn festival that's going on soon that definitely feels more reminiscent of Thanksgiving than Halloween. This movie also gives a really like interesting lesson on the history of witches and Wiccans, which you don't really expect to get out of a cartoon like Scooby-Doo, but it gives you exactly that. The film is actually a lot like Zombie Island. It actually follows a lot of the same beats. The monsters are real again. It's got a bit darker of a tone, and of course it features a person who invites the gang to their hometown only to turn out to be the villain. Although with all that said, this movie is not quite as good as Zombie Island, or probably not anywhere near it. It doesn't have as strong of an atmosphere. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm watching a, I guess, like horror movie for kids again. It's a lot less scary for Scooby-Doo standards, and it does have some weird pacing issues. The mystery of this movie gets like solved within the first 45 minutes, and then there's just an extra like 20 minutes or so of the Sarah Ravencroft ghost stuff. Also, Scooby and Shaggy feel like they take like a back seat in this. Like, they're not really playing a big part anywhere in this movie. They're just kind of there as, you know, comic relief, and because it is Scooby-Doo, so you've gotta have Scooby and Shaggy. Also, Shaggy's voice actor was replaced by Scott Ines in this. He was voiced by Billy West before in Zombie Island, and I think Scott Ines is probably the better choice because when you hear Billy West, you just hear all his other voices that he does. This movie also serves as the introduction to some fan favorite characters of the Scooby-Doo series, and that is the Hex Girls. People seem to like really love these characters. I mean, they are fun characters. I like them too, but they have returned like multiple times throughout the series. I remember them returning in Scooby-Doo Legend of the Vampire, and they were also in the Mystery Incorporated TV show. I think a lot of what people like about them is just their overall, like, I guess, goth aesthetic and designs. They also bring some music to this film, and they do have some really great songs. I think a lot of people are familiar with either the I'm a Hex Girl or the Earth, Wind, Fire, and Air song.
You'll wake up in the dead of night, missing me when I'm out of sight. I'm a hex girl, and I'm gonna put a spell on you. I'm gonna put a spell on you.
There's also a lot of other songs in this movie that are lesser songs, I'll say. For some reason, they have Billy Ray Cyrus singing the opening theme of this movie.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We got some work to do now. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We need some help from you now.
And besides that odd choice, they also have the end credits song, which I believe is just called The Witch's Ghost, and it's just not that good. It just feels like they just put it in the end credits because, you know, it's not that great. But nothing in this comes even close to Terror Time from Zombie Island. I don't think any cartoon or any movie will ever have a song that comes close to that. Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost is not perfect or anywhere near it, but it is a film that I grew up with and I do really enjoy. If you like Scooby-Doo, of course you'll like this. If you don't, or you're just someone who doesn't really care for animation, which I don't know why you'd be watching this video then just skip it. You're really not missing much. That's all for now. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.